Our next presenter, the man, the myth, the legend, Chris Prefontaine. Did I pronounce that right? Mm-hmm. After 20 plus years of real estate, the market downturn in 2007, 2008, he joined a network marketing company and, as the #1 earner globally, reached $90,000 in monthly income. Prior to 2012, Chris did zero online activity. After taking the futuristic marketing course in fall of 2012, Chris found Matt Lloyd. Still not realizing there was any kind of a business and looking for the education only so he could incorporate online lead generation, he joined Diamond Coaching in November 2012. By February 14, he realized what MOBE really was and got fully invested. He earned over $11,000 in his first 13 days, and he also banked 13 months for the Merck program. So without further ado, Chris, where are you?
Here.
I couldn't tell the crossed out stuff. I couldn't read it.
And then no, we're into 2014 already.
Oh.
All right. Where's Try? How many of you guys were here when I got tackled yesterday on stage here, trying to get the book? So Try, if I say anything you don't like, let's just tell me later. Don't come charging up. I'm only kidding. You know what's cool? We already talked about an idea that he has because he does some things with web TV. Am I saying it right? Internet TV. So we're going to talk about that. So that's pretty neat. Tough way to meet, but that's pretty neat. Kim and I are from Newport, Rhode Island. Kim's here for her first online event. It's only my second. Our children are 23 and 24, almost as old as Matt. Makes us feel just a touch old. I was in Bermuda last week working. Is Andrea here? No? We have a group. Kim and I have a group in our networking company in Bermuda. Tough place to work. And we were there last week, and I said to Andrea, I can't wait to go to Matt's event because I can just relax, be a student, not have to speak or do anything. And then I'm literally in an airport on the way home, and Matt emails me saying, I got you in after lunch on Sunday. Is that good? Can you do it? So here I am. And the toughest time to speak, would you guys agree, is after lunch? Okay, so try to stay awake and try to turn it down as cold as you can, Matt, so these guys don't go to sleep on me. Okay, just so you know kind of how Kim and I landed here, our story is totally different than most that I've heard so far. As Jimmy alluded to, I came at this from an education standpoint. So I want to talk a little bit about how we got here. I won't go back too far. In 2000, after about 4 or 5 years of paying a mentor $1,000 a month in the real estate world, we sold our company to Coldwell Banker. It was December of 2000. Not a huge thing, but as a broker, as a realtor, you don't typically sell a business, so it was a big deal at the time for us. 2001 to 2004, we were fortunate enough to hook up with an amazing mentor in the network marketing space. You know, I know people in this room have tried your traditional network marketing companies. Some are in traditional companies. Some are with me. Some people can struggle with that if there's not the right leadership. Would you guys agree? Not the right systems. Would you agree with that also? This gentleman, when he met Kim and I, it was right after 9/11. Remember, we got back from Italy. And we were looking for something to do. We had sold our business. And Randy called me, this guy Randy. The guy was making $330,000 a month US in network marketing and invited us into his company. So we worked with him for 36 months, almost to the date. And that was probably the only mentor that I never had to pay for. You know, in network marketing, it's a little different. But we've had a coach since 1995 that was always had to pay for mentoring fees. Something happened. I'll go back a second. Something happened in 2003, February. Some of you guys were there. Who was there in San Diego when I spoke? Who was at the event? Not everyone, okay. So our son Nicholas in February of 2003 had a snowboard injury, had a head injury from a snowboard accident. He was in a coma for a whole month. He had to learn how to walk, talk, and eat all over again, like he was a baby. He's doing great now. As some of you saw the video, I'm not going to play the video today, but just so you know where our head was back then, there was something interesting that changed for us, and it was starting to look at the quality of income versus the quantity. Who knows what I mean by that? Quantity versus quality. Nick, can you just bring that up, whatever happened? I don't know if I did it, but anyone, shout it out. What's the difference between quantity and quality of income? How much time you're... Okay, good answer. What else? Someone yelled something over here? Residuals? Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going. So when Nick had that accident, Kim and I had a real estate business going. which we put in, you know, whatever it was at the time, 15 years, and we had a network marketing company. And we had to obviously jump off the treadmill. He was in a coma for a month. He had to go then through rehabilitation, inpatient, and then outpatient. It was a tedious process. Now, how many people have children? Okay, so God forbid if something happened like that, or if you just wanted to take your finger off the pulse at will, what would happen to your income? And only you know the answer, and you don't have to shout it out. But this is what I mean between quality versus quantity. We all want the quantity, right? Would it be also, at the same time, be great to have the quality so when you take your finger off the pulse, it keeps going? In MOBE's situation, and I'll talk about it, but having all that on autopilot or a large portion, wouldn't that be neat? That's what I'm talking about when I say quantity versus quality. I don't know why it keeps doing that, Nick. And if I knew where I was, I'd go on, but I'll get a glimpse at it this time. Okay. So just to bring you forward so we can get here a little bit more quickly, 2005 to 2007, real estate, good or bad during that time? No, still good, actually. 5 and 6 was great. So Kim and I thought we naively thought that was an ATM and it's going to keep doing this forever. Well, in February of 2007, if you looked in from the outside, you'd think everything was perfect. Couple homes, second home on the water in Newport, Rhode Island. But if you dug a little deeper, that was about the time the light switch went off in real estate. Is anyone in real estate? A couple? So do you guys feel it? Because you were laughing when I said, is real estate? Okay. So in the tank, right? So at that time, things started to change for us rapidly. Credit cards being repossessed, IRS on the door, et cetera, et cetera. So things started to change, and we started to say, what can we do now? What are we going to do? And we started to look at, I'm not going forward, Nick. I'll tell you what's there as he finds it. We started to look at 3 things. He said, if we're going to change or do anything, I wanted to find something that's not geographically tied, right? Real estate as a realtor, you're kind of tied geographically. Would you guys agree? Okay, so one was geographic. One was not tied to the economy, okay? Not tied to the economy in any shape, form, or fashion. And the third was not tied to our finger being on the pulse. Now, I skipped forward because I didn't know where that slide was. But do you have 2 choices when you're down in this position? Beat up? And do you see people that stay in this position, in the fetal position, and get kicked, and they just stay down? What is the alternative? So there's a huge difference, guys, in MOBE, in my network marketing company, and in real estate, with the people that simply decide that they're going to commit. Would you agree to that? I think it was Justin yesterday that said the ability to just do whatever it takes. And in my translation of that, it would be just putting blinders on. You have amazing coaches. So putting blinders on, not looking left, right, or back, and just committing. I'll talk about the relationship of that in Platinum in a minute, but I'm talking about just committing, period. And everybody that flew here obviously committed. In July of 2008, this is what we had to do. I already told you those were the 3 criteria. Now, this whole thing for us, I started with the mentor thought. This whole thing for us, now picture this, July of 2008, exactly this day, by the way, is this the 21st? Exactly this date, 5 years ago, is when this happened. In a hotel lobby in Orlando, Florida, a gentleman who was a venture capitalist, hedge fund manager, had a lot of respect for him as a business guy. So he became my mentor, and the starting point in that company was $4,000. I didn't have a card to put $4,000 if you had a gun to my head in the lobby and said, you're going to make a decision. So what we had to do is we had to borrow a credit card. Now, I heard Matt talking about different ways of doing this, and Michael was up here yesterday. I got to tell you guys that there was 0 way I could write a check or give you a card for $4 grand. What we did is we got resourceful. We called a friend. His name was Mark. We put on a card with a promise to pay him back. Now, would that light a fire if you had to pay one of your best friends back? And his comment was, I don't want to hear about it when my bill comes in. Just take care. I know you will. So we had to go after that pretty hard. Our first month, we did about $20,350 in that company. So things started to get fixed, so to speak. Here's what happened. And this is not to say, look at what we did, guys. I'm trying to say with 0 resources, we found a resource, and then we just ran because we had to. We had a fire under our butt to get that bill paid off. This is what happened in that company. So that brought us to about January of 2011, if I'm right on those dates. And as Jimmy said, ended up being the #1 earners globally for that company. We started to have the team ask us, we had about 30,000 people on our team, started to ask us, should we do online stuff? And because I knew 0 and it intimidated the daylights out of me, and the ego got involved because our check was big without doing it, I said, no, we don't do that. That's not conventional. This is belly to belly. You got to do it this way. You got to do it the old-fashioned way. One of our mentors, see how this always goes back to mentors? Lots of money we spent on mentors over the years. Well, Todd Smith has earned about $25 million in the network marketing space. I don't know if any of you guys know him. He has a blog called Little Things Matter, a book called Little Things Matter. Amazing guy. He said, I heard all you guys talking about Google, how that got all shut down. Well, I didn't know why all that happened. All I knew is Todd taught us, Kim and I, how to put video up, and we killed it with leads in the US and in Israel at that time. And then all of a sudden, everything got shut down. This was 2010. Am I accurate for the network, for the internet marketers? Was I about right for the Google? Yeah. Just totally all our accounts get shut down. I thought I did something wrong. I didn't know the rest of the world also was getting hit by this until I met all you guys. 2010, we did a bunch of free stuff on Craigslist. Again, huge mistake because a ton of people said no to our opportunity, and we never monetized any of those no's like we can now with MOBE, which I'm leading up to. See, there was no options for us. If they said no, that lead was off our list. I never knew about building a list, and I never had an option for them to go operate in. If they didn't like MLM, I lost them for good. In August of 2012, in their infinite wisdom, the owners of the company that we were a part of got rid of the entire corporate team, which we thought was the absolute dream team, and then they started kind of going after our check and finding ways to lower it. So we resigned from that company, and Nick, I just lost that again. We resigned from that. I think it times itself out on the screen. We resigned from that company. When we did that, we no longer needed our assistant, who was our niece, who did all of, if we did anything online, she did it. I couldn't tell you guys how to log into Facebook in August of 2012, or say July. I couldn't tell you how to place an ad to save my life on that. And so I said, well, I got to do something. And so as Jimmy alluded to, I stumbled upon futuristic marketing. I can't tell you how I even found it, but I stumbled upon it online, started going through that, started to get somewhat dangerous on Facebook, and started to get excited about getting a click or two here or there. Didn't even know what that meant, but started to get excited about some results happening. I'm 99% sure that's where I saw the first video ever of Matt's as part of one of the trainers in there, for a myriad of reasons, related a lot to Matt at that early stage, and started increasing our sponsoring online. So that was pretty cool. So it went from 2010 saying, you know, you don't want to do that, and I have no clue how to do it, to, okay, we're doing some sponsoring now. In October of 2012, still thinking MOBE was just another mentor, another education program only, with no way to earn money in it. I didn't even think that. I joined Diamond Coaching. I think it was $50-something $100. Got a coach by the name of John who lives in Connecticut. Through him, developed some capture pages for again, for the network marketing company. Learned a bunch of stuff with him. I remember him saying on one of the calls about solo ads. And I get off the phone, I don't know if you remember, I said to Kim, my head is like killing. I didn't even know what all these words were that they're saying. But it got me into the mold of what can be done online, still not understanding what MOBE really was. Just thinking I could get myself better in my own business. In February 2013, went all in, as Jimmy said. Got an email from Matt or a Facebook message. We went through a flood in Rhode Island, and we were out of our normal home. And we were in temporary housing. It's 7 days before the San Diego event. Matt, is Matt here? I don't know if he remembers this, but he Facebook messaged me and said, you really should come to San Diego. It's 7 days away. I'm in temporary housing. Okay, I'll go there. Then the next day it was, you know, if you can get this many people to the event, I forget what the stages were, you know, you win $1,000, whatever it was at the time. And so I got that done. And then like 3 days before the event, he said, if you get X amount more, you get $2,000. So I ended up winning $2,000 that day going to San Diego, still not understanding fully what I did with Platinum or what this was all about. Still, in February of 2013. Lost it again, Nick? Okay. Should memorize my screens better. Okay, so moving forward. You guys getting dizzy? Okay. So if you look at the reasons that Kim and I originally, and I'll bring it to today, joined the group, it was first for the education and the mentoring. I remember in 2005 and 2006 spending $25,000 per year with Ron LeGrand. Has anyone heard of Ron LeGrand? Still a mentor of ours, still take a ton of his courses, still in his coaching program. But at that time, real estate was booming. We paid $25 grand a year, and still some of those relationships to this day are phenomenal relationships, and we're still doing all kinds of business with them. So that was the first thing. By the way, how can you guys find, I know Jimmy spoke about it, and Matt, how can you find more mentors even outside of MOBE? Any ideas? Or how do you? How do some of you guys find new mentors to reach out to? Any ideas? Online, paying attention. How else? Awesome. Guys, I know it's after lunch, but come on. Someone has an idea of how to find one mentor. No? Look them up and call them. That's what I do. I do both of those. If I read a book, and Kim will remember this, I don't know, the last 10 years, if I read a book and I like what was in the book, and I'm talking about even like I've met Navy SEALs because I love reading their true stories, I'll call them up. I'll look them up online. I'll call them up. Some of them come into my business. Some of them remain friends. Some of them we do masterminding with. That's what I do. Just reach out to them. You'll be shocked. I've never had an author say to me, no, I'm not interested in chatting with you. When I call up and say, your book was amazing, I'd love to, if it's local, buy you coffee. If not, I'd love to get on the line with you and chat for a few minutes. Is that easy or what? You can meet some amazing people that way. So just a side note. Second reason was to monetize my nose. As I alluded to earlier, I had those 700, in 2010, 700 plus Craigslist leads that ended up being like 10 people sponsored. That's awful. But they all get deleted. Instead, now I know that's not a high quality lead anyway, but the fact is I had no home farm. And now if they don't want a product-based company, I can say, well, here you go, and refer them to MOBE very easily. And a whole bunch of people say, yeah, the online thing, I'll look at that. A whole bunch of people. So guys, for me, and I'll just give you a couple things while I'm waiting for that to come up. For me, this thing was a whole transition that went from I need education, I have to find out how to learn this without my assistant around, to now being fully automated and actually earning some money on the side with it. And I'll give you some numbers while they're calling this up. Matt had an incentive today for guests too that I picked up an extra $1,000 on. If you add that to the year to date, Brian handed me this, it was $27,879.55. So 28 grand, let's say, in 120 days. I think San Diego is like 120 days from this weekend. So 120 days, 28 grand. It's like $200-something a day. And when Kim and I wrote down our goal earlier, we said, okay, 17, 18 grand. That's about $600 a day, I think it is. So we're about a third of the way there. And I would consider 99% of that on accident because Matt's system's so plug and play. Would you guys agree? Especially with the MTTB now? Okay. So there was a third reason. Yeah. So we can use it with other businesses. I said on the testimonial earlier, I said, I don't care if you're in network marketing, you just online, you sell cars, you sell popcorn, doesn't matter. Would you agree that the MOBE training, if you never earned a dime, is invaluable to do whatever business you're doing? Would you guys agree? Okay. And then the predictability. Since 2008, when we made that decision to not be tied to the economy, not be tied to our efforts, and not be tied to geographics, we also said, let's do everything that's predictable. Everything that's predictable. The fact that we're earning money on the side is literally a bonus for us. When you look at the platinum commitment, when we did the $4,000 commitment in 2008, that caused some serious pain. And I know Matt talked about, the philosophy of, I'll give it a shot, I'll give it a try. Let's pretend for a second that, let's say everybody in this front row, we're a board of directors, and we're going into a bank. And we're going to sell them on our business plan. Doesn't matter what business. And we're looking for a loan. Can you imagine at the end of the business plan saying to them, you know what, so that's our plan, and we're going to give it a shot for a few months, see how it goes. What would the bank do? They'd laugh you out. So if you do that, that's what you're doing to your own board of directors, which is your family, yourself, and whoever else you're affecting, right? So I know Matt hammered this, and everybody hammered this, and I have zero tie to 99% of you in the room. But I'm just saying from a pure common sense standpoint here, when you commit to that, it is a different posturing and confidence when you're talking to people, when you have that kind of commitment behind it, versus I'll give it a shot and see how this goes. Okay. Nothing, Nick. Think my computer needs an overhaul? I told you guys I was low tech. Okay. Second reason, I think Matt mentioned this in a different light, but it's culture. I can't even imagine if I'm talking to Brett, who's one of our licensees, and someday he just told me his game plan. It's a great game plan. But me saying, yeah, you should do platinum eventually, if I wasn't platinum. It doesn't even make sense, right? At all. So you create a culture in your, call it a group, okay, group of licensees. You create a culture based on your actions. It's no different than network marketing. If I commit at a certain level, I can't expect someone else to commit at a higher level. Third is, I've already hammered this in many ways, the personal development and the skill sets. Todd Smith, the mentor that I showed, $25 million earner in the network marketing world, said to me one day, Chris, your skill set is here, your check is here. This is when we were doing like 60 to 90 grand a month. He said, if you want the check to keep going, you've got to increase your skill sets. He said, if your check goes up, it's artificial, it'll come back down, and it'll level to where your skill set is. It'll level to what value you've been bringing to the market. Does that make sense? So the neat thing about MOBE and the businesses that Kim and I choose to get involved in is they all have no limitation. Isn't that cool? If you increase your skill set, Matt gives you more than enough education to do it, and it continues and it continues and it continues, then your check goes up. From a return on investment and predictability, now that we understand there's something here to monetize outside of our core businesses, you start looking at the return on investment. Now, Brian did some numbers, so I took out a lot of the stuff that was redundant, and it's tough to come up after the second day and not do some repeats, so I'll do my best to skip around. Jimmy said 13 days, 11 grand. That counted that 2 grand bonus Matt gave me in cash that day. But that was absolutely clueless operating. Listening to June the first day we met in March, and John Chow and Terry, some of the amazing things I took away from that is all that happened. Plus, whatever you can monetize for our network marketing business, I don't know if I can put a number on it, because I've learned so much here that adapts right to that. So I gave you the to date when my computer was down, 28 grand. What if you went into your bank and said, let's use my example. Some of you did much more than this, but let's say you go into your bank tomorrow, same scenario, you're sitting with them, and you say, you know what, I'm going to invest 24 grand, and in about 120 days, I'd like 100% return. How likely? 0. So that's what you have the opportunity to do here. Now, what if you tripled that time-wise, and it took you a whole year? Would that be okay, 100% return in a year? That's not normal either, right? So that's what you have your finger on here. From a predictability standpoint, raise your hand if you'd like to have an asset. And again, I don't care what time frame you put on this, 120 days, like we did, a year. How many of you would like an asset that was worth about 4.3 million? That would kick you cash flow, that was like you having a 4.3 nest egg in the bank. Would that be good? Okay. How many of you could save in whatever time frame you just thought of, 120 days, a year, could save that amount of money? Anybody? Maybe John, cranking. 4.3 in the next year or whatever, but not many people can do that, right? Is that a fair statement? Okay, so let's look at the predictability thing. The only thing that's different on my numbers, and Brian, when he coaches me, the first thing we always do is numbers, but since we went from the Iron Revolution to MTTB, my opt-in rate went from about 32% to 36%, up to 52 to 62% in the last 2 solos, just 2 since the MTTB came out. So those are the numbers I used. Again, some of this is repeat, all of this is repeat from Brian's, but all Kim and I did is say, okay, those are the last 2 solos, guys. And I do want to comment on the second one, actually, before I move on. I was in the same airport when Matt emailed me and said, can you speak? And he emailed me and said, hey, congrats, did you see you got a license sale? So when he says he does that, he does it every time. I hadn't seen my back office yet. I was in an airport. That second one there, where I only had 1 sale, that girl or guy, I actually don't know, I'm sorry, but they're from another country. They came in on the 13th. For $49, and on the 17th went to licensee. So 4 days. I don't know the person whatsoever, and I didn't even know it happened. Matt hit me. So if you look at just those 2 solos since Matt went to MTTB, you can see I'm not as heavy as some of you guys. $195 spent, $1,220 return. Not too bad if you take that little test market. So in addition to that, what has happened with the MTTB training for Kim and I? I've learned a whole bunch of stuff. I've learned a whole bunch, and I don't want to miss anyone from every speaker to date this weekend. Today was a full content day. So the stuff we earned dollar-wise is great, but what we can put into our other businesses is even greater. So I just did a plan, and guys, the numbers might be a teeny bit off, but if you back this out, like Brian, I'm assuming platinum here, guys, but if you back this out, if you have 50% on those clicks, 50% are going to come in if you use that rate. Brian used 30. I used 50 because my last one was 52. 24 licensees, just do the math. I don't want to read it to you. And then using Brian's formula, you come down to 18 grand a month. Now, that's not counting the time it's going to take some of these people to go through, right, the system, as we all know. Remember I asked you who wants a $4.3 million business? If you take 18 grand a month and you divide that by a 5% return, which is probably aggressive from a safe investment standpoint, I see you guys shaking your head, that's probably high. But if you just do that, that's a $4.3 million asset. So even if that took you a year, would that be okay? Same type question. You guys with me on this? Okay. We've already hit home a ton, the mastermind thing, so I'm not going to do that. All the speakers here. I love what Jim Rohn said, the late Jim Rohn. And we had a coach, his name was Tim Wood, in real estate. Kim and I did. For those 5 years as we owned a real estate company, and then eventually taught us how to sell that. But he used to leave me voicemails. And more than twice a month, the voicemail would be the Jim Rohn saying, you guys remember when he said, who are you hanging out with? What do they have you saying? What do they have you doing? What do they have you reading? What do they have you listening to? And as a result, who are you becoming? And are you okay with that? He would leave that for me constantly, challenging me to reach up. like Matt has talked about, like Jimmy has talked about, like Justin has talked about, with these higher level mentors. And we have it all available here with MOBE. The last thing we learned, and then I'll wrap up, is the outsourcing. Now I read, how many of you have read 4-Hour Workweek, Tim's book, and then the revised edition? So I read that years ago, but it wasn't even reality to me to even mentally say I can do that. And then I read his revised edition, I think it was right before August of 2012, before all this happened. And so the outsourcing thing never was an option for Kim and I that we could even get our head wrapped around. Now what we have, I'll just summarize it for you, is this online business. I can't tell you to this day how to do a capture page. I don't want to know how. I don't know how to do most of the stuff you guys are seeing from a technical level. What I did is I found some virtual assistants to do it. That's all. So if I go on to Matt's training and it says do A, B, and C, I call up one of the 2 virtual assistants and say, can you do A, B, and C? Sure, Chris, I'll do that for you. And they'll send me a bill, and it's very inexpensive. So everything, the technical side, I'll look at it to understand what they're talking about, but I don't do it. I still don't know how to do it. I don't want to know how to do it. It's all automated, all outsourced. From a real estate standpoint, we have a virtual assistant that researches, calls up for sale by owners in the territories that we want, fills out a lead sheet, and only gives me the ones that are ready to do a deal, and literally can convert that to a check within 6 to, say, 14 weeks. All outsourced, except for the final call to a high-end lead. And then the network marketing. I told you earlier, I had no clue what a solo ad was, and now a lot of this, all those low-end leads like that come through Craigslist and some of the other ads we run online, they all just go through the system. It might sound elementary to you guys, and go through the autoresponders. That was all new to me. And so I get, maybe this weekend, I got 2 people that just raised their hand and said, I need to talk to you next week about what you do. And Jimmy's one idea about having that info page where they could learn more about me before I talk to them, I can incorporate that like this week. What a huge takeaway with all those people that are already in that system. So outsourcing for us was a huge thing. Building the herd, as Dan Kennedy always says, and literally because of every business we touch now having all these criteria in it, literally designing a lifestyle. Isn't it neat, and John already has that, isn't it neat to do something that you know you can custom design, live anywhere you want, work with whoever you want, not the negative people, and go wherever you want and do that as long as you have a computer and a cell phone? That's pointedly what we do with each business. And I got to tell you guys, we make, as individuals, subconsciously or consciously, we make about 2,500 decisions every single day. You guys realize that? And the only difference between the Matt Lloyds, the gurus that you know, conventional world, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, the only difference is the decisions that we make every single day. Would you guys think, I know there's some people in the room that have not perhaps upgraded yet or done that or thinking about that. Would you agree that Matt and the team have the ability to help you learn internet marketing, clearly? Okay. Would you agree that they have the ability to help you build a list, build a herd? You can do a whole bunch of things down the road. How about thinking bigger? Someone else brought that up. And how about helping you access more mentors like we just talked about? Okay, one guy on that one? Guys, one more question. Can we all answer it? How about earn more in the next few months? Yeah. Okay, getting there. 2 types of people then that we see, Kim and I mean, I'm talking about, I could be in Israel, I could be in Bermuda, I could be in the States, which are the 3 main areas we go for our other business. 2 types of people we see every single time in the room. You see something like Matt's doing in this case. It's a locomotive, is it not? And I said to Bob, who's still here, he's from Boston, one of our licensees, I said, there's one clear thing in my head about Matt that I learned when I jumped into the full program. He's not stopping. Do you guys agree? He's not stopping tweaking. He's not stopping adjusting. It got way better since the March event. Would you agree with that? The platinum offer that he made last night, was that not way better? So the 2 types of people we see are, one, they see the train going by, they jump on it. You guys are on it. You decided to do that. Some of your licensees aren't here. You need to tell them why they need to jump on the train. The other type of people just kind of watch it go by. Have you guys ever seen a cow watching a train go by? Is it exciting? But they let it go by, and the train zips by, and they say forever and ever and ever, I wished I had or I should have. And I know we weren't going to quote a bunch of Tony Robbins, but I love when he says, don't should all over yourself. Because you're doing that forever and ever and ever and ever. Can we play the quick video, Nick, and then I'll wrap up? Guys, I played this in San Diego, but I want you to see it, the slide before that.
It was a young man who, he wanted to make a lot of money, and so he went to this guru, right? And he told the guru, I want to be on the same level you are. And so the guru said, if you want to be on the same level I'm on, I'll meet you tomorrow at the beach. So the young man got there at 4 a.m. He all ready to rock and roll, got on the suit, should have wore shorts. The old man grabs his hand and said, how bad do you want to be successful? He said, real bad. He said, walk on out in the water. So he walks out into the water. Watch this. When he walks out into the water, it goes waist deep. So he's like, this guy crazy. Adrian, like, I want to make money. He got me out here swimming. I didn't ask to be a lifeguard. I want to make money. He got me in. So he said, come out a little further. Walked out a little further. Then he had it right around this area, the shoulder area. So this old man crazy. He making money, but he crazy. He said, come on out a little further. He came out a little further. It was right at his mouth. My man like, I'm about to go back in here. This guy is mine. So the old man said, I thought you said you wanted to be successful. He said, I do. He said, walk a little further. He came, dropped his head in, held him down, hold him down. My man getting scratching, holding him down. He had him held down. Just before my man was about to pass out, he raised him up. He said, I got a question for you. He told the guy, he said, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. I don't know how many of y'all got asthma in here today, but if you ever had an asthma attack before, you short of breath, SOB, shortness of breath, you wheezing. The only thing you trying to do is get some air. You don't care about no basketball game. You don't care what's on TV. You don't care about nobody calling you. You don't care about a party. The only thing you care about when you're trying to breathe is to get some fresh air. That's it. And when you get to the point where all you want to do is be successful as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. And I'm here to tell you, number one, that most of you say you want to be successful, but you don't want it bad. You just kind of want it. You don't want it badder than you want to party. You don't want it as much as you want to be cool. Most of you don't want success as much as you want to sleep. Some of you love sleep more than you love success. And I'm here to tell you today, if you're going to be successful, you got to be willing to give up sleep. You got to be willing to work out for 3 hours of sleep, 2 hours. If you really want to be successful, some days you're going to have to stay up 3 days in a row. Because if you go to sleep, you might miss the opportunity to be successful. That's how bad you got to want it. You got to go days without, listen to me, you got to want to be successful so bad that you forget to eat. Beyonce said once she was on the set doing her thing, 3 days had gone by, she forgot she didn't eat. Because she was engaged. I never forget when 50 Cent was doing his movie, I did a little research on 50, and 50 said that when he wasn't doing the movie, he was doing the soundtrack. And they said, when do you sleep, 50? Sleep. He said, sleep. Sleep is for those people who are broke. I don't sleep. He said, I got an opportunity to make a dream become a reality. Don't cry to quit. You already in pain, you already hurt. Get a reward from it. Don't go to sleep until you succeed. Listen to me. I'm here to tell you today that you can come here, you can jump up, you can do flips, you can be excited when we give away money. But listen to me, you'll never be successful until I don't have to give you a dime to do what you do. You won't be successful until you say, I don't need that money, because I got it in here.
Who's committed for the next 3 months, for life, but for the next 3 months to make some changes, some serious changes? Okay, can we have just that last slide if it comes up, Nick? Because we want to make sure everybody has that face, right, in the next 90 days? Matt, thanks for everything, buddy, and thanks for all the speakers. I got a ton of value, as did Kim, out of every speaker, and there's more to come. So thanks again, guys. Appreciate it.